Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I want to go over this 1548T Sportsman, show you some of the modifications I made, and then take it out of the water and do a little bit of a test run. There are plenty of options out there for a 15-foot all-well John boat. Tracker simply was in my area, it was in my price range. They seem to make a pretty good product. I haven't heard any complaints, and I had everything I wanted on it, and really nothing that I didn't. Starting from the front, we have this very well overbuilt eye that's welded onto the boat, and the reason that I like that it's overbuilt is in very strong currents or super shallow water, if you're not able to trailer this boat by the engine, you simply take this winch line out, you throw it all the way down to the end of the trailer, hook it on, and just start winching as much as you can. Up top, we already have the port and starboard light that comes from the factory. I just haven't installed to show y'all. When this isn't in use, you can simply take this out, put it into the front locker. There's a place for it. I also went ahead and added a quick disattach motor guide mount, and this is for my X3 45-pound thrust trolling motor pedal that's going to sit up here whenever I'm fishing. I just don't want to get knocked up by trees or anything. That's why I went ahead and got the quick disattach mount. Just takes off a lot of the clutter on this front end. Now, for those of you that are duck hunters, you're going to love this. You have 4 of these eyes all around the boat, and these are for stakes. That way you can take stakes, push them down the mud, and that'll keep you a little bit more stable on calmer days whenever you're duck hunting. When we come over here, this is all cinched off from the factory. Obviously, we have a 12-volt outlet which you can use to charge different accessories. I'm actually going to use this for my fish finder, which we'll get to in a little bit, and then you have a plug for trolling motor. So that's all built into the boat. Now, the battery does not come with these accessories, so you will have to get that separately if you do decide to put a trolling motor on it. We also have tie-down points all along the boat. There's 4 of them in total. It would be nice to see pop-up cleats, but on a boat about this price range, that's not to be expected. Overall, though, still really nice quality, not too worried about it, and looks like they're going to be pretty durable over time. You can feel that they actually use locking nuts on the bottom, which is a very nice touch, and I'm glad they did so. Going to the front locker, you have plenty of storage space. I have life jackets, rope, anchor, all my other stuff, cricket cages, everything is in here, and I still have plenty of room out to this corner and even more in the back. Over there, you can actually see where the front light is supposed to go when it's not in use. Simply stores in there, it's out of the way. Another great thing to note is that when the water runs through here, you actually have a tube that runs through this locker and out under the boat. Well, under the deck, because it's a sub deck, and that makes sure that you don't get a whole lot of water in here, and water will just channel out through that little hole right here through a tubing that you may be able to see and below the deck. We also have a seat pedestal mount up front. I got a riser for this as well from the marine dealership I bought it from, Breaths Marine. Excellent dealership in Mississippi. If you haven't heard of them, definitely go give them check them out. But the riser sits about here so height wise, and then the seat adds a little bit more to that, but very comfortable overall. Using that trolling motor and brim fishing off the front, it's going to be an excellent combo, and this Versatrax is going to make it even better, which we'll get to in a little bit. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just mention this, that rear stern light that we have right there, quite large so you can see it from everywhere, but that actually goes right here in this groove. And something to note, and it's a little bit of a design flaw, is that when that is in place, it's very difficult to use the Versatrax system with particular mounts, and even without this in place at all, you actually can't really use the space too much, or you have to take the Real Blaza, in case of what I'm using, mounting system out, move it over here, and then place it again, because these are blocking its way. It cannot move around them. Something to note and put into consideration. That's why I have everything on that side for the time being. Now, over here we do have a rod locker. This will fit 7-foot long rods. If you're using spinning gear, it's not going to help you out too much. It's going to be too thin for that, but for bait casters and everything else, it's going to be perfect. If you have ultralight gear, spinning rods, you probably could fit 2 or 3 in here. I just don't know if you're going to be able to get them in here comfortably, so something to keep in mind in general. Now, this deck, like I said, is a subfloor, so you have this floor, and then you'll have foam insulation between this floor and then the second floor on the bottom, which is the outer layer, and that's 0.1 thickness of aluminum, I want to say. So twice as thick as what I was using before, which is very nice. I feel a little bit safer. But the transition from the stern to the bow, very smooth. You don't have to worry about hopping over a middle bunk or anything like I did in my 1542 tracker. And we also have courtesy lights on the inside. I love the courtesy lights. I think it's a fantastic idea. Definitely when you're out very early in the morning hunting or fishing or something of that nature, you need to see your gear and get ready. The only thing I don't like is that these are halogen bulbs and they're not LED. And realistically today, especially in 2020, we should be making the move to LED. They use a lot less energy. They're a lot brighter. I just don't understand why they didn't go ahead and place those in there. Or at least from my understanding, these are halogen. But I could be wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. Now, here at the back, we do have a large casting area. If you take that seat out, you're gonna have as much room in the bow as you do in the back to cast from. So this could easily fish 2 people. You can fish 3. I've done it before in other 15-foot johns, but you're starting to run out of space at that point. We also have the gas tank under here. This is where we keep the gas tank. I always have a little throwable and a little cutting board I just keep back here. And that's about as much space as you have. Down here, I forgot to mention, our battery and everything is down there. We have a little bit more space in this cubby. To keep smaller items, you're not going to be able to fit life jackets or anything, but that's not too big of a deal. For those of you interested, here is the Coast Guard plate. It could fit 3 persons or 560 pounds, and it's rated for a 25-pound motor, and it's 910 pounds total for all the gear. Now, coming all the way to the back, we have these flotation pods, or they sound like they're filled with foam, I think. These really aren't made for humans. They're more so made for dogs to reboard on either side. However, if you're out of the boat, I'm sure you could push up on this side, put a knee on here, and it shouldn't do anything disastrous to the design. I mean, it's welded on, but do that only at your own risk. I'm not too certain. You may want to consult your owner or your, I guess, manufacturer about that. As far as the engine goes, the max horsepower rating gives it 25, and I went ahead and got the 25 because this is quite a heavy boat, around 1,000 pounds. 25 Mercury. I have power tilt and trim. Really happy with that feature. You do not have a carburetor on this since it's EFI, which should mean it's a little bit more reliable in the long run. Whenever you have a small engine like this, the best thing you can do is just run non-ethanol fuel, because ethanol just kills engines. It really does. But overall, very happy with the design. You can actually see where we have a spacer plate right here in order to go under the transom a little bit more. Bolted on the back rather than using clamps, because you really do not want this thing going anywhere. And that's a nice touch that they did add from the factory. Go ahead and bolting everything on. Tie down straps here on the back of the boat. Those are not going anywhere. And I don't think this is correct from factory. I think it should actually be right here. And the dealership I bought it from placed them right here. So I need to check that out. Finally getting to this side, like I said, we have a source right here to where you put your stern light, and simply you can open and close that really flush. You don't have to worry about that hanging up or anything. Another amazing feature is you get a bilge pump, which is a very nice little touch. Here's the outside of it right here. That's your out nozzle. And the bilge pump sits really, really low down the boat. Of course, it's going to sit at the lowest point. So, like I said, you have the subfloor, and then the bilge pump sits on that bottom floor under the subfloor. So all the water will drain through this floor down to the bottom floor, which will keep this a little bit more dry. Very, very good concept and design right there. Now, for the wiring for my chart plotter and everything, I have my transducer just running a loose wire right now to transducer, and I have it coiled up, and I'll explain why in a second. And simply just plugs into the back. It does hang over a little bit, which is a little bit nerve-wracking in thick bush, but I'll figure out something to do with that later. Power cord, instead of hardwiring in, I went ahead and I got a 12-volt power cord for this unit. And what this allows me to do, and this is one of the great parts about the first track systems, I can take this mount, move it all the way to the bow, take my 12-volt outlet, put it in the front. Transducer cord is long enough to reach the front, so that I can transition this unit, depending on what I'm fishing for that day or what I want to do, from using it in the rear of the boat to using it in the front of the boat, where it's a lot easier to observe from the front and everything of that nature. So really smart and innovative idea right there. I don't think that was actually intended, but it definitely works for my purposes. You will have to rig it a little bit differently. You'll have to take some time, but you know what? For the price and everything, I really can't complain. Now this is another accessory I bought. This is the Real Blaza 600 something or another camera mount. Essentially, you just have this side track mount, camera, and that's going to allow me to film with the GoPro and everything while I'm fishing, jugging, hunting, or anything like that. Just gives me an extra hand. Not the most stable mount in the world, but I'm sure with the Hero 8 it's going to do just fine. Now, this is probably one of the features I was kind of excited about, but also fairly disappointed in once I got it. This is the gun locker, and there's not a whole lot of space in here at all, realistically. Also, when you have anything mounted right there, it's kind of just blocking the way. So something else to keep in mind whenever you do have your GPS unit or something like that on a Rail Plaza system or the VersaTrack system, it can block this gun locker. This is supposed to be for ammo, the rest is for the gun case. The only thing is, this is actually quite thin, and whenever I had a shotgun with me yesterday, it was actually quite difficult to reach out and get, even with that system moved out of the way. So that's just something you want to keep in mind. Right now I'm using it for storage just because I have it on here. I don't feel like removing it, but in cases where I do need more space, you can remove this entire gun locker, and that'll open up an extra few feet for you for gear and everything else. To lock it, you just simply take it, well, you gotta take it, push down on it a little bit, then you twist, put it down, and you can actually add a lock to that if you so choose to. That's basically everything on the boat so far. There's a few more things I've added that we'll get to here in a sec. A few things I do want to go over real quick is, first off, when I left the dealership, I asked him before I left, do I need a transom saver? He said, no, you'll have plenty of clearance, you'll be fine. I was a little optimistic about that. I looked at the owner's manual, they say do not rely on the tilt motor or these brackets in order to hold the engine up while trailering. And unfortunately, first time with the boat, even on the trailer, getting it home, got home, I thought I had plenty of clearance, and I barely scraped the keel right there. Super aggravating with a new boat. However, there's nothing I can do about it now. So I immediately went to Walmart. I've had one of these before. I installed it, and simply it's just allowing this engine to raise up a little bit more. Not really too worried about the transom, but I am worried about the keel, so this is going to help stabilize that, and I'm not relying on the tilt motor. So something you may want to consider purchasing. Now, I went ahead and added guide rods to the boat. When you're in areas of heavy current or things of that nature, you really may want to consider these. They really do help. The good thing about this trailer, though, is that the bunks are kind of angled in, so it helps line you up to the front ball, and that's something that's really helpful, because on most John boats, they're very flat, and you just simply slide all over the place if you don't have your bunks about halfway out of the water. So I like that they're angled a little bit. Now, something I did add that you cannot see, but this carpet, most people just have their boat resting on carpet, which is fine if you're using it on deeper ramps. Since I'm going in shallow water, and sometimes these bunks won't even get wet, the boat is actually sitting above the water, and the water level only gets up to here, I have polyethylene sliding boards. And what that does is when they do eventually get wet, this boat will slide on and off easily using the winch. Slides right on. You don't even have to have these bunks in the water. Just make sure you have it somewhat lined up. The bow and the front of the nose, somewhere in the middle of those two, slides right on the trailer with those polyethylene boards, and I'll show you that a little bit later. Now, something to note, and this is something that everyone kind of forgets to mention when they're talking about the boat, is the trailer. It makes a huge difference. This trailer is overbuilt, and that's a good thing. Yes, you do have a little bit larger tire than it's probably necessary. That's going to put a little bit more drag for you. It's going to lower your fuel economy, but Tracker gets its customer segment. We aren't always going to be putting these boats launched on paved roads and everything like that. Sometimes we're going to be launching them in the middle of the woods, on dirt roads, everything like that. So we need a trailer that's overbuilt. This durable coating on here, there's nothing that's going to happen to that. It's going to last for a long time, I hope. When it comes to the tires, these larger tires, what it does is on bumpy roads and everything else, it makes it a little bit more stable, so you don't have to worry about the trailer swinging out of control with super thin tires and some other John boat manufactured trailers. And the overall construction of that axle, look how thick that axle is. Also, it's plenty high off the ground with these larger tires, so it's going to be really hard to hit a rock or something to mess up that axle in the back. The last thing I want to mention is that with these larger tires, you're actually putting a little bit more force down the road. So again, instead of just squabbling everywhere, you're actually going to be a little bit more planted. And the suspension on this thing is actually quite good for dirt roads. I haven't had an issue with that. It's not just bouncing, it's just cushioning it like it should be. Now this has been a little bit of a long-winded overview, but I really do want to tell y'all all my thoughts on this boat so far, that I've used it a little bit, give you some ideas, some of the things I like, some of the things I dislike that they could do better, and just make sure that y'all are as formed as possible if you're thinking about looking into these boats at all. Overall though, guys, I really do hope you enjoyed this video, you found it helpful. If you have any questions that I could help you with in regards to the boat, please let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed, please make sure to share, like, subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.